into that flap? Well, if I unfold it and go back to the crease pattern, you can see that the upper left corner of that shape is the paper that went into the flap. So that's the flap, and all the rest of the paper is left over. I can use it for something else. Well, there's other ways of making a flap. There's other dimensions for flaps. If I make the flap skinnier, I can use a bit less paper. If I make the flap as skinny as possible, I get to the limit of the minimum amount of paper needed. And you can see there, it needs a quarter circle of paper to make a flap. There's other ways of making a flaps. If I put the flap on the edge, it uses a half circle of paper. And if I make the flap from the middle, it uses a full circle. So no matter how I make a flap, it needs some part of a circular region of paper. So now we're ready to scale up. What if I want to make something that has a lot of flaps? What do I need? I need a lot of circles. And in the 1990s, origami artists discovered these principles and realized we could make arbitrarily complicated figures just by packing circles. And here's where the dead people start to help us out. Because lots of people have studied the problem of packing circles. I can rely on that vast history of mathematicians and artists looking at disk packings and arrangements, and I can use those patterns now to create origami shapes. So we figured out these rules whereby you pack circles, you decorate the patterns of circles with lines according to Moore rules. That gives you the folds. Those folds fold into a base. You shape the base, you get a folded shape, in this case, a cockroach. And it's so simple. It's so simple that a computer could do it. And you say, well, how simple is that? But computers, you need to be able to describe things in very basic terms. And with this, we could. So I wrote a computer program a bunch of years ago called TreeMaker. And you can download it from my website. It's free. Runs on all the major platforms, even Windows. And you just draw a stick figure, and it calculates the crease pattern. It does the circle packing, calculates the crease pattern. And if you use that stick figure that I just showed, which you can kind of tell, it's a deer, it's got antlers, you'll get this crease pattern. And if you take this crease pattern, you fold on the dotted lines, you'll get a base that you can then shape into a deer with exactly the crease pattern that you wanted. And if you want a different deer, it's not a white-tailed deer, but you want a mule deer or an elk, you change the packing and you can do an elk. Or you could do a moose, or really any other kind of deer. These techniques revolutionized this art. We found we could do insects, spiders, which are close, things with legs and wings, things with legs and antenna. And if folding a single praying mantis from a single uncut square wasn't interesting enough, then you could do two praying mantises from a single uncut square. She's eating him. I call it snack time. And you can do more than just insects. This you can put details, toes and claws. Grizzly bear has claws. This tree frog has toes. Actually, lots of people in origami now put toes into their models. Toes have become an origami meme because everyone's doing it. You can make multiple subjects. So these are a couple instrumentalists. The guitar player from a single square, the bass player from a single square. And if you say, well, but a guitar, a bass, that's not so hot. Do a little more complicated instrument, well, then you could do an organ. And what this has allowed is the creation of origami on demand. I mean, so now people can say, well, I want exactly this and this and this, and you can go out and fold it. And sometimes you create high art, and sometimes you pay the bills by doing some commercial work. But I want to show you some examples. Everything you'll see here, except the car, is origami.
その伝説はよく知られている。それは山を支配する。それは植物を支配する。それは風を支配する。それは都市を支配する。それはエンデバと呼ばれている。
The 2006 Mitsubishi Endeavor, with a powerful 3.8-liter V6 and available all-wheel drive, a mythic combination of beauty and beast. Mitsubishi, driven to thrill.
Just to show you, this really was folded paper. Computers made things move, but these were all real folded objects that we made. And we can use this not just for visuals, but it turns out to be useful even in the real world. Surprisingly, origami and the structures that we've developed in origami turn out to have applications in medicine, in science, in space, in the body, consumer electronics, and more. And I want to show you some of these examples. One of the earliest was this pattern. This